The air was thick with gunpowder and disbelief. The echoes of gunshots still reverberated through the grand halls of City Hall, a place that had seen countless moments of history, but never one quite like this. The scent of smoke mingled with the cold, sterile smell of the marble floors, creating an atmosphere that was both surreal and horrifying. Harvey Milk, bleeding but alive, lay on the floor of City Hall, his eyes fluttered open, taking in the chaos around him. The pain was excruciating, but the realization that he was still breathing brought a strange sense of relief. He could hear the frantic voices of people rushing to his aid, their faces a blur of concern and urgency. The bullet meant for Mayor Moscone had grazed him instead. It was a twist of fate that left everyone in shock. The mayor, a beloved figure, had narrowly escaped death, and the city was left to grapple with the implications of this violent act. The bullet hole in the wall stood as a grim reminder of what could have been. "It was a miracle," whispered onlookers. The words spread like wildfire through the crowd, a beacon of hope in an otherwise dark moment. People clung to the idea that something divine had intervened, that Harvey Milk's survival was a sign of something greater. Prayers were whispered, and hopeful expressions began to replace the initial shock, a sign perhaps that his work was not yet done. Harvey Milk, ever the fighter, knew that this was not the end but a new beginning. He returned to work with a renewed sense of purpose, his determination evident in every step he took. The community events he attended were filled with a new energy, a collective belief that they were on the brink of something monumental.
The days that followed were a blur of hospital visits, police interviews, and a media frenzy. The hospital room became a revolving door of visitors, each one bringing their own mix of concern and support. Police officers came and went, their questions probing the details of that fateful day. The media, always hungry for a story, turned Milk's hospital bed into a stage, broadcasting his every word to a captivated audience. The assassination attempt on Moscone and me sent shockwaves through San Francisco and the nation. The news spread rapidly, and soon the entire country was watching. Crowds gathered outside City Hall, their faces a mix of anger, fear, and determination. The assassination attempt was not just an attack on two men, but on the ideals they represented.
The gay community, still reeling from the Briggs Initiative defeat, rallied around their wounded champion. The defeat of the Briggs Initiative had been a hard-fought victory, and now, with Milk's life hanging in the balance, the community came together once more. Candlelight vigils were held, and signs proclaiming support for Harvey Milk appeared in windows and on street corners. The sense of unity was palpable, a testament to the strength and resilience of the LGBTQ+ community. Milk, ever the optimist, saw an opportunity in the tragedy. He knew that his survival could be a rallying point, a way to galvanize the community and push for even greater change. As he lay in his hospital bed, his mind raced with ideas and plans. The pain was a constant reminder of what he had endured, but it also fueled his determination to make every moment count. He had stared death in the face and emerged stronger. The recovery process was slow and painful, but Milk's spirit remained unbroken. Friends and supporters visited him regularly, their presence a source of comfort and strength. The bandages and scars were a testament to his ordeal, but his smile never wavered. He was more determined than ever to continue his fight for equality and justice.
I vowed to use my second chance to fight harder, to push further for the rights of all LGBTQ+ people. The experience had given me a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the stakes involved. I knew that I could not afford to waste this second chance. Every speech, every rally, every moment was an opportunity to make a difference. The rainbow flag I held was not just a symbol but a promise to continue the fight. My voice, once confined to the streets of Castro, now resonated across the country. The media attention had turned me into a national figure, and I was determined to use that platform to advocate for change. Newspaper headlines and television broadcasts carried my message far and wide, reaching people who had never heard of Harvey Milk before. The fight for LGBTQ+ rights was no longer a local issue. It was a national movement.
The assassination attempt had inadvertently given Milk a larger platform. The tragedy had turned into an opportunity, a way to amplify his message and reach a broader audience. Every speech he gave, every public appearance he made was a chance to inspire and mobilize. The crowds that gathered to hear him speak were larger than ever, their faces filled with hope and determination. He was now a symbol of resilience, a living testament to the violence and hatred the LGBTQ+ community faced. His survival was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the fight for equality must continue. The solidarity marches and protests that followed were a testament to the strength and unity of the community. Harvey Milk had become more than just a leader. He was a symbol of the struggle and the resilience of the LGBTQ+ community. But with this newfound fame came increased scrutiny. The media attention was a double-edged sword, bringing both support and criticism. Every word he spoke, every action he took was analyzed and dissected. The pressure was immense, but Milk remained steadfast in his commitment to his cause. He knew that the scrutiny was a small price to pay for the opportunity to make a difference. His life, once an open book to his constituents, was now under a microscope. The public's interest in his personal life was intense, and every aspect of his existence was subject to examination. But Milk took it in stride, understanding that this was part of the price of leadership. He continued to engage with his constituents, listening to their concerns and advocating for their rights, and not everyone liked what they saw. The increased visibility brought out both supporters and detractors. Protests against Harvey Milk became more frequent, and the anger and hatred he faced were palpable. But Milk remained undeterred, using the opposition as fuel for his fight. He knew that the road to equality was long and fraught with challenges, but he was prepared to face them head-on. Milk's survival was nothing short of a resurrection. The attempt on his life had left him physically wounded, but it also ignited a fire within him that burned brighter than ever before. He was not just a survivor, he was a symbol of resilience and defiance. He returned to City Hall bearing the physical and emotional scars of the attack, but with a renewed sense of purpose. His determination was palpable, and his commitment to his cause was unwavering. Every step he took, every word he spoke was infused with a sense of urgency and passion that was impossible to ignore. His voice, once hoarse from countless rallies, now boomed with a newfound authority. The nation was listening. People from all walks of life were tuning in, eager to hear what he had to say. His speeches were broadcasted on national television, reaching millions of households and sparking conversations across the country.
I use my platform to speak out against hate crimes, to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, and to challenge the status quo. It was not just about fighting for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community, it was about fighting for justice and equality for all. I wanted to create a world where everyone could live without fear, where love and acceptance were the norm, not the exception. I was invited to speak at universities, rallies, and even on national television. Each opportunity was a chance to spread my message further, to reach more people, and to inspire more change. I spoke to students, activists, and everyday citizens, urging them to stand up and make their voices heard. My message of hope and equality resonated with millions, inspiring a new generation of activists. Young people in particular were drawn to the cause, eager to be part of a movement that promised a brighter, more inclusive future. They took to the streets, organized rallies, and used their voices to demand change.
Milk's influence extended beyond the LGBTQ+ community. His message of equality and justice resonated with people from all backgrounds. He became a unifying figure, bringing together diverse groups who shared a common goal: a fair and just society. He spoke out against racism, sexism, and all forms of discrimination. He understood that the fight for LGBTQ+ rights was part of a larger struggle for human rights. He used his platform to highlight the interconnectedness of these issues and to advocate for a world where everyone was treated with dignity and respect. He believed in a society where everyone, regardless of their differences, could live freely and openly. His vision was one of inclusivity and acceptance, where diversity was celebrated and everyone had the opportunity to thrive.
You gotta give them hope. Hope is what drives us forward, what keeps us fighting even when the odds are against us. It's the belief that a better world is possible, that change is within our reach.
However, as Milk's fame grew, so did the scrutiny. The media's interest in his personal life intensified, and every aspect of his existence was put under the microscope. His relationships, his past, and his private moments were all dissected and analyzed. His personal life, particularly his relationships, became fodder for the press. The tabloids were relentless, publishing sensational stories and unfounded rumors. It was a constant battle to keep the focus on his work and his message rather than the scandalous headlines. Rumors and allegations from his past surfaced, threatening to overshadow his message and derail his progress. It was a challenging time, but Milk remained steadfast. He knew that the work he was doing was too important to be derailed by gossip and innuendo. The world was watching, and not everyone was cheering. There were those who opposed his message, who felt threatened by the changes he was advocating for. But for every detractor, there were countless others who were inspired by his courage and determination. Milk's legacy was not just in the battles he fought, but in the hope he instilled in others. The whispers started subtly, circulating in hushed tones among political circles. It began as a murmur, a faint echo of something that had been buried deep in the annals of history. But as with all secrets, it was only a matter of time before the whispers grew louder, more insistent, demanding to be heard. They were fueled by leaked documents, anonymous tips, and whispers from Milk's past. These documents, once hidden away in dusty archives, were now being brought to light, each one adding fuel to the growing fire. Anonymous tips, often vague and unsubstantiated, were treated as gospel truths, further muddying the waters. The allegations were shocking: statutory rape, inappropriate relationships with younger men. These were not just minor indiscretions, they were serious accusations that could destroy a man's career and reputation. The courtroom sketches and scandalous headlines painted a picture of a man who had much to hide. The media, sensing a scandal, pounced. News anchors, with their grave expressions and somber tones, reported on the allegations with a mix of shock and barely concealed glee. Press conferences were held, with journalists clamoring for the latest scoop, each one eager to outdo the other in their coverage of the unfolding drama.
Headlines screamed accusations, painting Milk as a predator, hiding behind a facade of activism. The newspapers, with their bold, sensationalized headlines, left little room for doubt. They portrayed Milk as a man who had used his position of power to exploit the vulnerable, a predator masquerading as a champion of the people. His personal life, once a source of pride and openness, was dissected and distorted. Every aspect of his life was put under the microscope, with even the most innocent of interactions being twisted to fit the narrative. The community he had once been so open with now looked at him with suspicion and doubt. Details of his relationships, some consensual, some questionable, were splashed across newspapers and discussed ad nauseum on television. The media frenzy showed no signs of abating, with every new detail being dissected and analyzed to death. Television broadcasts dedicated entire segments to the scandal, with pundits and experts weighing in on the implications.
The timing was no coincidence. Milk's political opponents, threatened by his growing influence, saw an opportunity to discredit him. They had been waiting for a moment like this, a chance to bring him down and halt his momentum. The allegations provided the perfect pretext, and they wasted no time in exploiting it. They leaked documents, fueled rumors, and whispered in the ears of journalists eager for a story. The political machinations were in full swing, with every leak and rumor carefully orchestrated to cause maximum damage. Journalists, always on the lookout for a sensational story, were more than willing to play along. The truth, they knew, was less important than the narrative. In the world of politics and media, perception often trumps reality. The narrative being crafted was one of a fallen hero, a man whose past had finally caught up with him. The truth, with all its nuances and complexities, was a casualty of the need for a compelling story.
Milk found himself at the center of a storm, his character under attack. The once bustling newsroom was now a hive of activity, with reporters working around the clock to cover every angle of the story. Milk, meanwhile, was left to navigate the storm, his every move scrutinized and judged. The very people he fought for, the ones who once cheered his name, were now questioning his motives. The rallies and protests, once filled with supporters, now had a different tone. There were still those who believed in him, but the seeds of doubt had been sown, and they were beginning to take root. His past, once a private matter, had become a public spectacle. The city of San Francisco, with its vibrant streets and diverse neighborhoods, was now a backdrop to the unfolding drama. Milk's past, once known only to a few, was now the subject of public debate and scrutiny.
He knew he had to fight back, not just for himself, but for the future of the movement he helped build. The stakes were higher than ever, and Milk understood that his fight was not just a personal one, it was a fight for the ideals he had championed, for the community he had served, and for the future of the movement that had come to define his life. With resolve and determination, he prepared to face the challenges ahead, knowing that the battle was far from over.